Hi, welcome to Sue Marie P. My name's Sue and today I'm going to share one of my favourite Christmas cookies. It's a Greek shortbread cookie that's called Kourabiedes. It reminds me of Christmas. It reminds me of my childhood. We had neighbours that always made these every Christmas. They're little tiny crescents dusted with icing sugar. I made a version last year which was, or maybe it was 2 years ago, a Snowball cookie with walnuts, but this is with an easy way with ground almonds. So let's get mixing. First step, we have 250 grams or a packet, a UK packet of butter. And I'm going to do it on my stand mixer just because it's easy, but you can do this with a wooden spoon or with an electric mixer. And we whip that up with some icing sugar that I've sifted, 100 grams. And I'll pop some conversion measurements above. So while that's whipping up, you should preheat your oven to 160 degrees C fan. And I've got some flour here. I'm using spelt flour because that's my favourite flour. And I ran out of white flour, so I'm doing a combination of whole grain spelt flour, 180 grams, and the balance is just white spelt flour. But feel free just to do regular flour. And we've got some ground almonds. I don't toast and grind my own, that's just pre-made ground almonds. And we've got 60 grams or half a cup. I've got 1 egg to throw in, a teaspoon of baking powder, and I'm going to zest an orange and a little bit of vanilla. Let me just bump this up. So while that's whipping, it's a good thing to prep your baking trays. I've just greased the bottom of this and lined it with paper, and I've got 3 trays prepared because you need to make sure they space out so they don't all bleed and stick together. It's good to also stop and scrape. So my aim is to get this really whipped and buttery, creamy. Pop it back in. I think I can start zesting in my orange. I'm going to try doing it while it's beating around. See, that's really light and fluffy now. So I'm going to turn my timer off because I think we're ready to do the next step, which is add the vanilla. I've already added my orange zest because I was cheating and adding it as I was mixing around. That was just 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Just give it a quick mix. And I'm just going to put 1 large egg that I've already cracked and just slowly mix that around as well. And into my flour, so I've got 300 grams in total of my flour. I'm just going to whisk in the baking powder. I'm meant to sift it, but I'm not going to today because I'm being lazy. And I just want to show you a quick way. I'm going to pop in my flour. I'm just going to blend that until it combines just for about a minute. And now I'm going to take that off the stand and I'm just going to fold in the almonds. So in goes my half a cup or 60 grams of almonds. And I'm just going to fold it through with my spatula because I've got this nice kind of thick dough. Now you can start making your crescents now and then just pop them in the fridge to stiffen up a little bit for 30 minutes or into the freezer for 10. But what I like to do is I like to make it ahead of time and then wrap it and have it on standby to bake. And grab some plastic wrap. So what I do is I just bring it together with the plastic to form a long sausage, and I roll it out a little bit. Tie off the ends a little bit. And you can either pop this in the freezer or you can pop it in the fridge for about 3 to 4 days until you're ready to use it. Okay, so let's pop it in the fridge. So I've got some cookie dough that I made yesterday, so it's all ready. So I'm just chopping it into small pieces. So I wanted to just bring you in a little bit closer. So that one I need to throw away because I didn't do it correctly. So squish it between your hands quickly, roll it into a tube. Ideally, it's not good to overwork the dough. Have 2 finger spaces apart. And if you do find that, like this one, it's gone soft and hasn't really worked because I manhandled it too much, we can just pop it back in the fridge. I'm going to pop the first tray in for 15 minutes and then I'll crack on doing the rest. It's going to add a tiny bit of flour to help roll them. Just going to make a few smaller ones. It's much easier if they're a little bit smaller. So I get that one disc, chop it in half, and then that size is easier. I'm going to rest this tray in the fridge while the other one's baking, just for about 10-15 minutes. So my first tray is out of the oven, and yeah, some of them look a bit fat, so it was a good thing that I made them smaller. I don't know what I was doing today. Anyway, very Greek style. It's very authentic to sprinkle rose water, and I just happen to have some in my cupboard. So I'm going to use my pastry brush, and while they're still warm, I've got a little bit of the rose water in my dish. I'm just going to brush the warm cookies with rose water, but this is optional, or you can sprinkle it on. And then I dust them with a little bit of icing sugar that I've got in my container. And then I can generously dip them in more later on. But the icing sugar is optional. If you're trying to avoid sugar and you don't want too much, don't pop it on. But I just love them with the icing sugar. And I've got a big bowl here, so I can also dust them in that now and a little bit more later on. And you can store them for about a week. They're perfect to give as gifts. If you've got any friends that you want to do some baking gifts for. I'm going to taste one for you while they're still warm. I've still got 3 more trays to bake, but let's dive into one. It's like buttery goodness that just kind of like melts in your mouth. And you've got the almond and hint of rose water, the orange. These are so good. They transport me back to a 10-year-old Susan, visiting Tricia across the road and just being so awe-inspired by this shaped cookie. Yum. Try baking these for Christmas. Make sure they're chilled in the fridge before you bake them, much better. And don't make them too big like I just did. I hope you enjoyed this. Give it a go. If you don't want to fuss with the crescent shape, just roll them into a ball and bake them. Anyway, I'll pop the link to the recipe down below in the description. And let me know. I'd like getting your comments, and let me know if you're going to try and bake these for Christmas. I'll see you next time. Bye. Yum, yum, yum. Yum, yum, yum.